Hi everyone, welcome to this reading. I have my crystal ball off to the side, so I will be scrying throughout this message. If you're new to my channel, my readings are a little different. If you're returning, welcome back. You know how we do if it doesn't resonate with you. If you're forcing the story to fit, arguing with it in any way, just leave it behind for the people who it's meant for. Okay, so we're going to put that card out there. We're going to cut the deck, and then we will get into this. Taking a step aside. And allowing spirit to pass through me. Opening up to receive information. Okay, so we have the Star card. Whenever I see the Star card, I know that I'm speaking to a collective that's kind of at this, I almost want to call it like a turning point or a breaking point within their life, because the Star card really represents the time before and then the time that's here. So we see this, for example, in flood myths, where before the flood, you know, there's in a lot of cultures before the flood, there's like this great empire, this great civilization that's existent. And then what we have after the flood is sort of like this rebirth energy into a new time, a new era. Now, this red ibis that's in the back really kind of goes along with this entire card, because this represents the sort of byproduct energy. So, for example, if you're experiencing sort of like this entrance into a new life, for whoever this message is for, it's probably going to be the byproduct of some sort of cataclysm that's happened in your life. So some sort of tower moment, something that has upended or caused this great upheaval. And maybe this is something that isn't recent. Maybe this is something you went through a few years ago. You're just still knowing that you're like in this transition period as you're rebuilding your life and rebuilding yourself. So that's who this message seems to be for, somebody who's in the process of rebuilding. Okay. Her rediscovering also. There may have been something that we had to leave behind in the past here, something that we put a lot of time and energy and effort into with those cups. And here, maybe the whole reason why we had to leave it behind is because we had to stand up for ourselves, right? We had to pick ourselves. And so if we have this energy that's kind of fueling this turning point, it means that the next phase is going to be all about learning about the self and one's own value, and really displaying that. And in order to display that, you're going to have to be in this energy for a little while, or off and on, right? Really standing up for yourself, picking your battles, deciding what is important to you to fight against, what is important for you to say no to. And the Seven of Wands is an interesting card because he's feeling out his boundaries. So whoever this message is for, it's quite possible that you're learning a lot about your personal boundaries at this time. It's also interesting to me because you know, inside the Minor Arcana, we tend to see a river. And whereas the Major Arcana, I feel that the path is a little bit more prominent, because it is the path, it's the spiritual journey, it's the alchemical journey that's being taken. And inside the Minor Arcana, what we see the rivers. And this is representing sort of the emotional transition that happens as we become more refined in each of these qualities, and each of the qualities being pentacles, cups, our wands, our swords. So in our mind, in our willpower, in our emotions, and in our manifestation. So with the Seven of Wands, this is about really big part of the journey right now for somebody is about learning how to hold on to one's own willpower, not getting pulled around by other people's desires or other people's emotions or other people's, you know, you know, as people, we're all just these points of consciousness exerting our will. And we do this in a myriad of ways, whether we mean to or not. And when the Seven of Wands shows up, it means that someone is learning how to kind of use that willpower in the midst of others. So whoever this message is for, it's quite possible that you didn't do that in the past. It's quite possible that you never really knew how to stand up for yourself, or you never really knew how to say, hey, I can take up space. But this is really indicating to me that the changing point is that you've left something behind because emotionally it wasn't fulfilling, whether that's something in your life, a mentality, a relationship, a job, and you're moving into this place where now you know that part of the missing equation was taking up your own space and being able to stand up for what it is that you want to do, or where it is that you want to go eat on a particular night, or whatever the case, right? It's where we're starting to really learn to utilize our willpower. Okay. Oh, 2 cards that are coming out with this. Here we go. And this is a journey that someone's undertaking because they understand that they really want to navigate towards their happy ending. They want to have something that fulfills them. When we have the 10 of Cups, this is the card that's really indicating wanting to be fulfilled. This is the fulfillment card. When we have the Three of Wands, this is our journey. So someone, again, is on like this beginning of a new journey. And this new journey has everything to do with utilizing your own willpower in order to craft your happy place in life. So I really like this energy. I think this is a very beautiful energy. Let's get some oracle cards on top of this. Okay, let's get this one. Oh, and I have to take this card because it didn't leave the table. So I'm going to try to move the deck. So let's get into this. Okay, we have Keepers of the Earth. You're not alone. Ancient ancestors stand behind you. I feel that whoever's message this is at this time, you probably have the feeling that you have help from the other side. Whether you feel that this is in terms of ancestors or angels or spirit guides or, you know, maybe deity that you're working with, there seems to be some sort of feeling that we have this help behind us. I noticed the cougar and the elephant. I want to tell you right now that I feel very strongly that elephants is probably important for some people at this time. Elephant specifically is standing out to me, though of course like the big cats could, you know, be something for you. There's also wolf here as well as eagle, but the elephant standing out to me just because I've looked around and seen elephants a couple of times in places that I didn't realize I had so many elephants in this room. So that's why I'm pointing that one out specifically. The planet Venus also, I don't know why the planet Venus is the one that's standing out because neither of these are Venus, but the planet Venus is also standing out too, maybe because of this card. All right, what other energy am I seeing? That's all I'm seeing here. Pull one card from here, and let's get this. Okay, Holy Grail. Inner discovery, sacredness, you are what you seek. And that's really what this reading is saying. There's a fine-tuning of the self that's happening in this energy, and really understanding that, you know, in order to find what it is that you want to find, there's something within yourself that you have to start utilizing. And this reading is indicating that that thing is your willpower. It's, you know, not backing down on the things that you want, not backing down just because someone's having a bad day, not, you know, letting your energy shrink up so that you're stepping on eggshells, learning to take that space and to assert that this space is mine and I'm going to take it and you're not going to make me shrink back. You know, this isn't about fighting. This isn't about bickering. This isn't about like exerting your way or the highway or anything like that. The Seven of Wands can be a very beautiful, healthy energy when a person is coming to it for the first time. And there can be spaces where it manifests in an unhealthy way because we're learning how to do it inappropriately, and that's okay for a while. But ultimately what happens when we start to take up that space and we understand that my will is just as important as other people's will, we start to find that we are now self-sufficient in our own happiness. We can't be happy if we're always allowing other people to take that pedestal or take that stage or have that space that we really should be occupying inside of our own experience. And when our experience becomes about other people, you'll never feel fulfilled. And so someone here, it's like we're making this dramatic shift where maybe our whole life was about others, how other people feel, what other people want, what other people are going to think, you know, and it seems like someone's shifting over here to, you know, what do I want? What do I, you know, feel? What do I think? And I've said it other places on this channel, especially like the earlier videos. I think I mentioned this several times. I know that in the very beginning of this channel, the collective was really dealing with confidence. And I kind of demonstrated that, you know, really getting out of that mentality of like, when I walk into a room, what do other people think? Because it's kind of an indicator that we care too much about other people, that other people are the center of our story rather than ourselves being the main character in our own story. When you walk into a room, the thinking, you know, shifting from that to what do I think about everybody in this room, right? So there's a definite shift in self-empowerment that's coming through for somebody where they're kind of decentralizing others and making themselves the center of their experience. Because honestly, that's the way that you can serve people the best. If you are someone that does care about service to others, or if you're worried about, you know, being a better mother, being a better father, being a better spouse, being able to take that space for yourself and being able to self-fulfill so that you don't put that burden and that responsibility on others is the biggest service you can do for them. And that's what I'm seeing here, that someone is really filling that sort of solar plexus energy by filling their own cup, by taking up their own space and exerting their own will. Now we have this floater card that's kind of up here that really wanted to stick on the desk over here. Now this is on the left, so I don't know if this is a message that's going to be about the past or about the future. We'll see how it feels the moment I turn it. And I have the death card. So this feels very much like it's kind of like the overall theme. There's something here that's done. It's like an old version of self, like I was saying with the star, that is really transforming, and is transforming into its new form. And the new form isn't going to look anything like the old form. There may be some remnants of that old form that kind of seep into the new, but it's not going to manifest in quite the same way. It's almost like there's a version of self that's ready to transform. And I love that. Again, we have another bird imagery, so I will say it, that like, you know, some of the predator birds or like scavenger birds may be important. So vulture, crow, raven. There's something here about kinship with the energy of death at the moment that someone may be experiencing. Okay. Okay, I'm hearing to pull one from this. Okay. This is sort of like the ghost energy. It's the energy of the whole thing, and why this is kind of happening this way. We have Mintalkin, longing for home, belonging to the original light workers. Whenever I pull this card, I'm speaking to an empath collective. So I don't mean empath in the way that I think most people mean it, which they just mean empathy. I mean psychic empath. So for example, somebody that you can feel like if you have a friend that's sad 2 states away, you just feel it. You just know, and you can call them up and be like, hey, what's going on? You know, or you walk into a room and suddenly you feel everybody's feelings, and you know their storylines behind it and all this stuff. So like a lot of times people have this sort of ability because they're meant to do something with it, right? This is why you're born as a person that's sensitive to energy, is because, you know, it's going to fulfill part of your soul signature and part of your like sort of sense of self in order to be of service, which is probably why I started saying being of service to people. You guys never hear me say that, which is probably why I said being of service to people when I was talking about these two things. And this is, you know, one of the things that's important to remember is to remember that you don't have to be like everybody else. You don't have to be anything like anybody else. That's actually part of what makes you beautiful. And you don't have to worry about what other people are thinking about you, because people are always going to think something about somebody who's different. It's just how people are. And it's really important to take that energy away from like wanting people to accept you, wanting people to embrace you, wanting people to think that you're okay, and to put that into yourself. What do you want? You know, what matters to you? I promise you, when you start marching to the beat of your own drum, other people will look at you and be like, wow, I wish I had the balls to do that. You know, no matter what they thought of you before you were doing that. So it's, you know, when you can act out of authority and you can own it, that's really how you start to kind of like shift the energy that other people are displaying towards you. So here with the Holy Grail and that Mintalkin, I think that somebody's about to really discover their empathic ability, and that it's more than just having empathy for people. I think someone's really starting to open up psychically and understanding that sense of psychic empathy, that is your psychic gateway, that's your doorway to opening something up. But it does require you to listen to yourself, which is what happens when we're in the Seven of Wands. We're in the Seven of Wands energy, standing up for ourselves, taking our time, like listening to what it is that we want, and not like always betraying that for the sake of others, you know, even in the small things. Like before, I said something about, what do I want to eat today, right? Hanging out with a bunch of people and you want to go to this restaurant, but you're always going where everybody else does. In those small ways, we program our subconscious that we're not listening. And the more and more that you listen to yourself, and it doesn't mean that you have to do everything your way all the time. That's not what I'm saying. But the more that you allow yourself to listen to yourself and take that space, the more you're going to find that you're more in tune with your body, you're more in tune with your emotions, you're more in tune with the subtle psychic energy that's trying to convey itself to you. Because this is going to be part of somebody's path here. This whole lesson that you are learning here, it's the reason why the star card is showing up. It's a big energy. It's a very important turning point in your journey that's navigating you towards your happiness. You may have set off on this journey thinking it was going to be something mundane, but on the interim, there's these big movements that are happening. So this is a very important part of your life right now. I'm going to leave this here. Whoever's message this is, I hope this resonates with you. If it does, awesome. Feel free to like this video, and until next time.